This video is brought to you by Movie Talk, because I just kind of thought it'd be cool to have a sponsor for my channel, but, you know, my channel's not really that big, so no one wants to sponsor me, so I just thought I'd do it myself. Hello there everybody, hope you're doing well. So I, Tonya, much to my surprise, is not a new Apple product designed for breaking people's kneecaps. This is a movie... Yeah, I know. This is a movie directed by Craig Gillespie, and it stars Margot Robbie as Tonya Harding, who was one of the world's biggest figure skaters back in the 90s, but was involved in a very widely publicized incident where a rival skater named Nancy Kerrigan had her kneecap broken by some mysterious assailant, which took her out of the running for the Olympics at the time, putting Tonya Harding in a much better position. But this movie is not just about that incident. This movie is about Tonya Harding's life, and it was fascinating. This is a really good movie. Now, straight off the bat, look, you know, I'm not a really big sports movie fan. I mean, even when this incident actually happened, I vaguely remember it, but it was sort of the case where I just sort of tuned out. I was like, something to do with sports, meh. But I kept hearing a lot of good things about this movie, and yeah, I'm really glad I went to see it. It is such an enjoyable watch. So like I said, Margot Robbie plays Tonya Harding, and her performance was absolutely fantastic. I'm glad I saw this movie before the Oscars came out, because, you know, I kept hearing about how her performance was so Oscar worthy, and it really was. I'm glad I got to see it for myself. It was one of those cases where she was no longer Margot Robbie, you know, she became the character. The performances all around in this film were absolutely fantastic, from the major roles to the minor ones as well. Sebastian Stan, who was Bucky the Winter Soldier in the Captain America films, he played Tonya's husband, Jeff Gillooly, who was, you know, he was involved in this whole thing, but you're never really quite sure as to how much exactly, because the events of this film are a little bit sketchy. It's even stated at the start of the film that the events in this film are based on conflicting interviews and opinions, so you're never quite sure exactly what's factual and what's not. And Allison Janney, who played Tonya Harding's mum in this, also gave an absolutely wonderful performance, but her character was not one that you like. She was such an abusive mother and just pushed this poor girl way harder than any sports mum should. And that's the thing with this film, you really felt something for Tonya Harding. You really understood why she became the person she was based on her upbringing and her experiences through her life. You know, she was involved with so many abusive people, both mentally and physically. And the style in which this film was told was really great. It quite often broke the fourth wall in some really strange places, like at one point where Tonya Harding's getting her face literally smashed into a wall, and she kind of stops to address the camera, and it was funny. That's the thing. This movie, even though the subject matter was kind of dark, it was a little bit funny in places. Not quite to the point of something like Three Billboards Outside of... Not quite to the point of something like oh fuck, I can't say that title. Not quite to the extent of something like Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. It wasn't, you know, gut-bustingly funny, but yeah, it was definitely a dark comedy. But one thing I've got to hand it to this movie, and it's one thing that not many people are talking about, this was a visual effects masterpiece. The first time that we see Tonya Harding skate, you know, doing her routine, which of course, you know, it's Margot Robbie playing her, but the way that they obviously had a double doing the actual skating, but the way they've superimposed Margot Robbie's face onto this person was flawless. And I stopped eating my popcorn. I was transfixed by what I was watching, because it was a technical masterpiece. Hey, sorry to interrupt this review, but I just wanted to let you know I've just been rummaging around on YouTube looking for clips to put into this review, and I've actually just found a really cool little featurette on the visual effects that went into this film, and it looks really fascinating. So I'm going to put a link to it in the description box below. If you're interested in knowing a little bit more about the visual effects of I, Tonya, make sure you check it out. Back to me. the wizardry that went into this thing, and the reason I'm raving about it, because, you know, obviously it's not that hard to stick a face on someone else's body these days, but the fact that, you know, she was spinning around at a rapid pace and just every twist and turn and everything, like they managed to track her face on this person, and it was outstanding. It just really drew you in and made you believe that what you were watching, you know, was Margot Robbie doing this stuff. I mean, I'm assuming it was done with computers. For all I know, maybe Margot Robbie is an Olympic level figure skater. So while I have a lot of praise for this film, yeah, it wasn't quite perfect. The runtime was too long. This film goes for 2 hours, and it does lose steam towards the third act, or the beginning of the third act. There were a few moments where I did kind of feel my mind starting to wander a little bit. And just a very minor little nitpick sort of criticism. Yeah, Margot Robbie does not play a convincing 15-year-old girl, no matter how many braces you put on her and stuff. Yeah, maybe they could have done some more technical wizardry to make her look a bit younger, but I was not convinced that she and Sebastian Stan were of that age. And not only that, it's the kind of film, maybe it was the runtime, I don't know, but it's the kind of film that, as great as it was, it's not one that you'd really want to rewatch over and over and over again. I mean, there probably are some people out there who loved it enough who would, but I, for one, I probably wouldn't own it on Blu-ray. Maybe when it was right down in the, you know, in the bargain bin, maybe I would. But as great as it was, it doesn't really have a lot of rewatchability. But that being said, overall, yeah, I had a really good time watching this film, and I'm going to give I, Tonya an 8.5 out of 10. So throwing it over to you guys, if you've seen I, Tonya, what did you think about it? Or what are some of your favourite sports-related movies? And as always, a big thank you to everybody who's been subscribing to my channel lately. Really happy to have you guys on board. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button. Drop me some comments either here or on Facebook. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies, and I would love to talk about movies with you. I'll catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.